It's Monday. Best day of the week, changed my mind. Which also means it's leg day. I'm training alone today. So, well, I'm not training alone because you're coming with me. So, end of the day here. Relatively busy day here at the Barbell Club. Only part you've really missed is I rolled out a little bit, opened up the hips, loosened up the quads, and now we're gonna get into the rest of this. So come along for the journey, or don't. All right, starting with some core. I always start with core, because I find if I start with core, I'm less likely to skip it at the end. So today's leg day. Leg day, I almost always do some sort of like hanging leg raise. That's what we're gonna do. I like movements that help me prioritize the lower abdominal as opposed to the upper, because I feel like gets kind of bypassed and skipped a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. Usually 3 sets of 15. Pretty basic, pretty standard, but it works. A set 2, we'll do another one, but you don't want to watch all those. So, I got to stretch. Got a pretty good ab cramp after that last set. See, when you vlog like this, it's not just a highlight reel. You got to show all of it. Obviously did not drink enough water today. Actually, it's probably more of the water that I didn't drink yesterday. So drink your water. Before I get to the big compounds, I like to open up hips, get some activation. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna do get on the old hip abduction, adduction machine, and AKA the good girl, bad girl. We're gonna open up these hips. Because I said so. I think there's a lot of people, especially dudes, that overlook this machine. Like, oh, that's for chicks. Disagree. Might just help your squat. I find that getting in the bottom of my squat feels so much better after I kind of prime the pump with hip abduction and adduction. So I usually go through both, 3 sets each, and gets things warmed up. All right, changing directions here. Working on the adduction, AKA the good girl. Pro tip here. A lot of these, there's obviously 100 different brands of equipment, or companies that make equipment that have hip abduction, adduction machines. So this is a combo, right? Some of them make them separate. But on the ones, whether it's an adduction portion of the machine or one that's isolated for that, the biggest problem I find with most of them is that you can't get into a full stretch when you sit down and get in position, and then you kind of open it up because you're limited by your range of motion. So what I usually do is I open up the machine all the way, and then I straddle the seat, and then I close it manually, like so. Then I sit down, put legs in position. Now I can open that up to a full stretch without the stack touching, which again, full stretch is relative. For some people, maybe the stack will still touch, but you get my point. For most people, if you get into the machine and then you're trying to adjust it once you're already in position, you really can't get to that full stretch, and it feels like a shortened range of motion. So that's always been my workaround. Open it up all the way, close it with your hands, sit down, get in position, and then you can work at that full range, whatever that is for you, and get more stretch. Because I always, emphasize, especially for like the hypertrophy stuff, that controlling the eccentric or the lengthening portion of that motion matters just as much, if not more, than the shortening does. So food for thought there. And then getting out of it, once I've finished my set, which is my first one, so I'm just I'll build into it as I go. But when I'm done, bring it together, take it from myself with my hands, stand up and let it back out, controlled, boom. And now I'm resting. So, little workaround for getting that adduction to feel the way you want. And if you're wondering, Luke, is that Kesha? playing in the background on your leg day? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Hip abduction and adduction is a wrap. And I'm gonna hit some calves next. So calf training is something that I will sometimes put at the beginning. Sometimes I'll put in the middle, sometimes put at the end. Sometimes I'll do both, but at the beginning and at the end. And I've got a bunch of different options for that here at the Barbell Club. What I'm gonna do right now, I like using this hack squat for a knee extended calf raise because it helps me get a good stretch. So the general theme, and I've talked about this before in videos, but knees straight versus knees bent with your calves, it all kind of comes down towards bias, right? Of which muscle you want to feel the most. So when we break up the calves, we're looking at the gastrocnemius or the soleus. With the knee straight movement like such, you're going to work more of the gastroc, which is kind of the two heads of that calf that will ball up when you flex. The soleus sits kind of deep to that, and he gets isolated a bit more when we're on a seated calf machine where the knees bent or the knees in flexion. So it's just something to consider. Are both of those respective tissues working on both versions? Absolutely. But we're gonna bias one more than the other a little bit. So it's just something to consider. From the nature of bodybuilding, which is relative, you don't have to be a competitor, but just building your physique, I often go, hey, like where do you want to feel this the most? And let's put as much emphasis as possible to do just that. Let's feel it where you want and isolate as much as we can. So calves, because no one wants small calves, so we're gonna hit them. We're gonna do it right. You know, here's a thought too. Don't put yourself in weird boxes. It's like today, I had no idea what I was gonna do today. I knew I was gonna train legs, and I know respectively what I'm going to do. But like, man, there's some value and some power in some like intuitive training. Listening to your body, letting it be fun, mixing it up, doing some random shit, some random rep ranges just because, like, there's no rules, man. There's like themes that I think that can guide us all, that can be adopted to most people. There's no rules, man. Like rep ranges, I've talked about this a lot. I'm like, people ask me like, well, should I be doing 8 reps or 12 reps or 15? Or I'm like, man, your hypertrophy rep range, hypertrophy meaning changing muscle size and shape, is 6 to 15 reps. So that's a huge range, man. So like, do what you want. The benefit would be that at a lower rep range, I can go heavier than I can at a higher one, right? So I mean, there's some variables, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the details don't matter, but sometimes we get caught up in the details before we even start focusing on things that really matter, like feeling what we want, executing appropriately, keeping good range of motion, good constant tension, so that we're not relaxing at the top or the bottom. Like that's the shit that can transform your body more so than how many reps you did or how much weight you used. And so I'm all for like improving your own personal efficiency. And it starts with some of the really cliche things like improving feeling what you want to feel, man. Like there's hardly anything more valuable than that. So it's something to consider with your training, but do what you want to do, man. Like I have theories that I've come across with my own training of not just with myself, but training clients for over 2 decades. And things that I believe now are slightly different than probably the beliefs I had when I was 5 years in, right? So it's going to adapt and change as you grow and learn more. But that's the point. Like you're your own little science experiment. So who am I to tell you that this movement's better than that movement? If you feel your lats better on that movement than you do this one, then like that's what matters more, man. So I'm very much a libertarian when it comes to training because you should know your body better than me. But as a skilled professional, initially when I start working with people, for a while it's the opposite. For a while, I do know their body probably better than they do because of my time in the trenches and knowing what people are capable of and how to push them and how to cue people. But once you get into it a little ways, you gotta listen to yourself and get into the cliche stuff, man. That mind-muscle connection, thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, it matters more than I can express, you know? So, all right, so this will probably be my top set. Only working with 3 plates here, which is not that much. I think sometimes what I see happening a lot, especially with younger dudes, is it's always about the weight. It's always about the progressive overload, progressive resistance, which that matters, don't get me wrong. But I always say, like, I'll be the first guy to go down in weight in the gym if it's not feeling the way that I want it to. So, you know, keep that in mind. Weight is super relative. But this will be my top set, and I'm gonna apply a couple little interventions within the set. So we're gonna do a straight set. We're gonna do 15 reps. After the 15, I'm gonna drop into a stretch, and then I'm gonna come out to about like a mid-range point, and I'm just gonna hold that isometric for about 30 seconds. It's gonna be terrible. I might even cry. You might even see some fear tears. And then after that, I'm gonna rack it briefly. I'm gonna do a bit of a rest pause, and I'm gonna go right back into it and try to get maybe 8 to 12 more reps, probably at a quicker pace that won't be as refined maybe as the first 15. So again, there's ways to advance the challenge that you're facing within that set in other ways than just adding more load. So again, food for thought, but that's what I'm gonna do. But don't take my word for it, as they used to say on Reading Rainbow, for any of my viewers that are old enough to remember that. Take a look, it's in a book, Reading Rainbow. All right, nice little set of 15, or 3 sets of 5 if you wanna play games with yourself. 17, 14, 15. All right, dropping into a stretch, getting feet centered. You'll notice the stretch burns a lot. And then we're gonna come out to a halfway. There it is, and now we're holding. We're gonna take some deep breaths. We're gonna go deep inside the pain cave together. Oh. Try to keep equal load from right to left side, which is easier said than done. Try to not drop on that mid-range hold. We got 5 seconds, longest 5 seconds of my life. We're gonna rack it. We're gonna shake it out. Just like 5, no more than about 10 seconds. And then we're gonna get back under this pig. Get in position, keeping in mind that when I come to the top on this, I don't want my feet to roll to the outside. I want to keep pressure over my big toes. In other words, like I'm squeezing a ball between my ankles. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's all she wrote. Oh, that's gross. Whose idea was this? Who wrote this workout? Okay, on to squats now. As you can see, to my right, your left, I've only got a plate on right now. There would be an argument maybe that at this point I'm already warmed up, so why don't I just get right into it? Well, warm-ups for me are relative to a few things. Yeah, like arguably like I'm warm, like heart rate's up and blood's moving, warmed up hips a little bit on the hip abduction, adduction. But I'm not warmed up to this movement pattern. I'm also not acclimated or warmed up to the weight that I'm going to be using. So that's what this is for me more than anything. And I have greater success when I do get to my working sets, when I take my time acclimating. More than anything, I'm still acclimating tissues, joints, other soft tissue components, right? But I'm warming up my central nervous system. So it's not such a shock when I get that load on my back. So I'm an advocate for that. give your body time. And I think people get worried about like wearing themselves out, right? I'm gonna wear myself out and I won't be able to do as well in my set or go as heavy. So who cares? And also probably not as much as you think. You're not giving yourself enough credit. Like most people aren't even really doing true working sets anyway. So it's probably way more in the tank than you realize. I'm not calling anyone out or trying to be shitty, but it's just the truth. Like you do this long enough, you start finding out like what you're actually capable of. So give yourself time to acclimate. And yeah, that takes time, you know? So I like to prioritize compound movements. So if I was short on time today, let's say I was like, okay, I've got 45 minutes to train, then I probably would have gotten rid of as much as possible from what I've already done today and just prioritize this movement. Because for me, it's the best bang for the buck. It's the meat and potatoes. It's a compound movement, meaning multiple joints, multiple muscles. So there's more working. But even within that, I'm still having this conversation of like, where do I want to feel this the most? And for the most part, when I do my squats, I'm trying to prioritize quads as much as possible. I know glutes are involved. I know hammies are involved. I know calves are even involved when you really break the movement down. But like, I want as much quad as possible. So that's where I'm gonna put my focus. Knowing those other things are working, great, fine. That's why I like it, right? It's a buy one, get one, get one. But I want as much quad as possible. So consider that when you're doing your compounds and make sure you're acclimating and warming up enough, because it can make or break how good your working sets feel, you know? And if those working sets aren't feeling good and you're not locked in, you don't have that mind-muscle connection, you're leaving gains on the table. We're not here to leave gains on the table. We wanna lick that plate clean, bro. Or lady, gal, whatever. Let's do it. Another little acclimation set here. Full disclosure too, like I don't even know what kind of sets and reps I'm gonna do yet. I'm just kind of feeling this. So I haven't even decided where I'm gonna exactly work yet, because today is just kind of a go with the flow day. Based on how movements are feeling, based on how loads are feeling. And a lot of times I'll come in with a way more specific plan than I have today, with even like specific weights that I might want to hit, but I'm always ready and willing to renegotiate if the body's like, nope. But it takes time to get good at knowing when you need to renegotiate based on what your body's telling you, and to just ensure that you're not bitching out. That takes some practice. But again, feeling the weight, feeling the motion, making assessments that will help me make informed decisions as I get closer to working sets. So I was saying I didn't really have a plan going into this. I did, but I didn't, right? Like, so one of the general themes was that I was looking at what I did last week on squats. I did sets of 12 with 315. So I knew that this week I wanted to do a little bit lower volume, and I wanted to go over that load with respect to how I was feeling. So 315 on the bar right now. I'm gonna have this be another acclimation set so I can see how it feels. And then that helps me make informed decisions on where I might work. So I think for rep ranges, I'm gonna do 5 to 8 today. It's just what feels right. It just sounds right, you know, it's just what I'm craving. Not more scientific than that. So based on how 315 feels right now will help me decide on, again, where I'm gonna start out for my first working set. The other things I'm considering is like, I'm probably not working to complete failure today because I don't have a spot. And like for me, I'm probably not gonna go into where I'm having to dump on the safety bars. They're there if I need it, but I'm gonna work into a very high RPE, rate of perceived exertion, as close to 10 as possible without having to like completely fail with it. Because I think there's a time and a place for that. So again, we'll acclimate here, we'll see how it feels, and then we'll make informed decisions. So. I like to keep things really tight in the bottom. And I always try to focus on sitting down, not sitting back. And on the acclimations, there's no set reps. Again, it's by feel. I don't even know how many reps I did there. You were probably counting, but it's for feel. Getting what I need out of that acclimation that I can make my next decision. Life's good. Man, the best thing about this little Osmo is I can control from the phone. I actually feel like a real influencer, you know? So first working set will be here at 385. How did I choose 385? Super scientific, you ready? Based on how 315 felt. And we tend to get in ruts, and there's a lot of times that like I end up hitting the same numbers often just because like for no reason that it's just familiar. So there's a lot of times that I would find myself just automatically going to 365 and then jumping to 405 and like bypassing 385. So sometimes I think there's value at working at loads that you just don't work at. Just because like your body doesn't know load, but there's gonna be something about it that feels slightly different than a load you may be used to. So again, this is just a Luke Krubeck theory. Please don't take it to the scientific bank, but you're your own science experiment. So like, go by feel sometimes, man. You might find so much more value than just following this arbitrary program. Now, I think programming has its place. Again, there's themes, but like, you can't work within programming or those themes if you don't know your body and how you respond to things. So it's something to consider. So this will be first working set, 5 to 8. One of the questions that I get a lot is, Luke, when do you use a belt? That for me is very also intuitive. You getting tired of that? You getting tired of me going with the flow too much? It depends on how I feel. Depends on how it feels in my back. Depends on how much instability I feel. Sometimes I put the belt on at 365. Sometimes I don't put it on until 455. So it's like, it'll depend day to day for me. I don't like to become too reliant on it, that it has to be there. It's like anything else. If I have to have it, then it's like a weird control on me that I'm not really a fan of. So, but it has its place for sure. But it's going to depend for me on how I feel and what I'm training that day, maybe where I did squats in the workout, a whole assortment of things. Same with knee sleeves. So I don't have any knee sleeves on, no belt right now. And doesn't mean that I won't throw them on in some of the next working sets. But working set 1, 5 to 8. Let's see how she feels. A little Nickelback coming on. Which, by the way, what did Nickelback ever do to anybody? You know what I mean? I feel like the people that hate on Nickelback are also the ones that sing the loudest when they come on the radio when they're in the shower. First observation, 385 feels way heavier than I hoped it would. But here we were. It's fine, everything's fine. All right, I can breathe again so we can talk. Set 1, how'd it feel? Heavier than I hoped. Pretty good though. I have this habit of when things feel heavier than I want, I make sure to take them extra slow. So I try to keep that control, don't lose in the bottom. Good deliberate finish at the top. So here I'm like, cool. The inner bitch would just have me stay there for my next working sets. But I know that based on how that felt, how that looked to me, I can go up in weight and still stay within my rep range. So that's the value of rep ranges. So I'm talking, okay, I was gonna do 5 to 8 today. So, okay, pretty sure it was 8. I don't know, it was 7 or 8. I lost count. But that's why rep range is like, it's a rep range. Like if hypertrophy rep range is 6 to 15, like don't get too caught up in it. Also, try not to leave reps on the table, but I know that I can go up in weight. So I'll probably jump to 405, and I know that I can, the very minimum, get the bottom of my rep range here. The other variable here is like, that I have to keep in mind and that you should do too, is like, I have not barbell squat. Last week was my first time barbell squatting in a handful of weeks. I love barbell compound movements. That's why I named this place the Barbell Club. However, there's lots of wonderful, wonderful opportunities for isolation within machines. So I've been doing a lot of pendulum squat, a lot of hack squat. And I've also been training alone a lot, so sometimes those are easier to really push myself on when I don't have that spot. So like, also I have to keep that in perspective. Like, yeah, this is gonna feel not as great as I feel like it should maybe, based on how frequently I've been touching this movement. So there's a lot of relativity that you need to like put into the sauce when you're assessing like why it feels the way it is, and then where you should be going for load and reps and things like that. So sometimes your greatest progress in the gym is swallowing your pride, checking at the door, man, hanging on that hook when you walk in the door. But again, being able to swallow your pride, knowing when you need to renegotiate without bitching out. That's the challenge, and that comes with time. So, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go up to 405. We're still gonna get 5 to 8. Second working set here. Let's get into it. Last set, things felt pretty connected, so still beltless, still without sleeves. 5 to 8 is our rep range still. There's this interesting thing in the gym world where the second set in some ways always feels better than your first, even if it's heavier. Even if you've done the movement a million times, it's like your body's used to it. It's like, oh, this is what we're doing. That's what I'm saying, like acclimate, because like, it's like our bodies are slow learners or they don't trust us, something like that. But like part of lifting, man, it's like, it's a mind game, because I'm like, 405 should not be this challenging when I look at the comparison of the fact that I'm a power lifter and I have times where I've had a 605 squat. 605 pounds compared to 405 is like, I'm no math major, but that's a big difference. But it doesn't matter, it's all relative. Like I'm not training for that right now. I've been training for like detail and hypertrophy, so it's like the load's a relative tool. It's fun to lift heavy, but it's even more gangster to lift heavyweight beautifully. So for what that's worth. But I'm not here to be a hero. Again, checking my pride at the door. Let's get out of this what we want. So set 2. Taking a second here at the top, cycle a couple breaths, gather the hens. Oh, America. Yeah, your mama and your daddy. Just sitting over here, embracing the discomfort. Reports on set 2. In some ways it felt better than set 1. It felt heavier, but it felt better as far as the movement. So got my reps. I'm just going up 10 aside, so this will be my third and final working set here at 425. Again, same rep range, 5 to 8. So should be good. It'll be appropriately challenging. And again, I'll try to keep tempo. I'm not gonna rush it. On my top sets, the things that I try to tune into a lot is not changing rep tempo, not changing rep depth, things of that nature. The tempo matters so much. If you can control not changing your tempo, that inadvertently will help you not shorten range of motion, not lose activation, and feel exactly what you want. So mind your tempo, man. Mind your business. Mind your tempo. Mind your manners. Mind your tempo matters a lot in the gym. Tempo. Again, man, it's like lifting heavy's cool, but not nearly as cool as when you can increase those loads, but like make it look like when you get in real control of weight, when you watch that video back and you in your heart of hearts knew that you literally didn't have a single more rep in the tank, like you had no reps in reserve, right? But on video, it looked like you had 5 more in the tank. That's when you know you're getting to that sweet spot. And I would say several years ago, that's where I started noticing, I would get into the set and I would video it to like watch my form. And I'd watch it back and I was like, within set, it felt like it was barely moving. And I knew like I didn't have another one. But on video, I was like, oh, it looks like I had 3 more. Killer. Just make sure you didn't, but like make it look that way. It matters. And then you're gonna get more quality out of that, more growth and everything. So maybe you have to go down and wait for a while and that's fine. So I'm grateful that in my youth, in my teenage years, I learned to like not train with my ego and listen to that, because I think it's also what's kept me pretty healthy throughout these, I don't even know how long it's been. I think I'm slowly working on 30 years of training. So that's where it's at. I'm gonna suck wind another minute here, and then we're gonna get to it, because we got some legs to train after this. All right, top set here. Met with some silence in the gym, because this playlist, apparently, this song has like a hidden track on it or something, I don't know. So it's just me alone with my thoughts, which is sometimes a scary place. Oh, see, there it is. I decided to throw a belt on in this, just for the fatigue I was feeling. And something to consider with belt. A lot of people wear it too low. I put it right over the navel. The point is not for the belt to suck everything in. The point is for it to give you a tactile cue for you to breathe and brace into. So when you take that, when you load that breath, before you squat, you should be loading it low. You should be letting the diaphragm do what it needs to do. And imagine your rib cage like bucket handles. And I want those bucket handles to expand instead of loading up here in your chest. Because when you have that bar on your back, you can't really lift that chest hardly anyway. So breathe low and into that belt, and it'll help you create some good intra-abdominal pressure. And it'll feel way different than maybe you're used to if you're only focusing on it sucking everything in. Use it to brace into. So here we go, top set. Rep range hasn't changed. 5 to 8. Let's get it. All right, all right, all right. All right, squats, they're in the books. Good news, Rihanna's on the playlist now. She's my girlfriend, she just doesn't know it yet. I think my wife knows this, but Rihanna's she's on the hall pass list. I'm pretty sure she knows that. So little Rihanna had some Kesha earlier. This is my secret to the gains, man. So looking at the clock, I've got about 20 minutes to 8. 8 is when I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin because one of my non-negotiables is I try to be home for bedtime routine with the kids. Sometimes I miss it, but I try not to. So whether I'm training or whether I'm working, I try to peace out and get there in time for that. Sometimes it means I gotta come back. You know, if there's work to be done, things like that, but that's what we're gonna do. So I'm looking at the clock, I'm like, all right, what's gonna be like, what are the game changers for me? What are the movements that I feel like I need today? And for me, it's like, man, I definitely need some hamstring work today, craving that, working on improving that posterior sweep on that hamstring. I think I've got time for that. I think I've got time for some leg extensions. Thought about maybe throwing a lunge in, we'll see what I'm like for time. So I think we're gonna head to a lion leg curl, get that posterior chain rolling. Also in the decision making on, okay, I want a hamstring. Some of it's time related. Most of you probably experienced with squats, sometimes your low back will get smoked a little bit. I'm definitely feeling that today. So like for me going into like an RDL, low back fatigue might be a little distracting for me to really squeeze out of those movements what I want. So I know that based on that, it's a better opportunity for me to get into probably an isolated like machine hamstring curl like I'm doing. Then it's like, well, what do I want? Do I want lion leg curl? This guy here? Do I want that? Or do I want the single leg curl? And I chose lion today, but it was a tough decision. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get some of these guys. Let's roll. Pro tip, when you're filming these, don't ever film yourself from the front and below. Just trust me, okay? Just trust your boy on that. Something to consider on your setup on these. If your lion leg curl has enough adjustments, adjust it so that when you lay down in position with your legs underneath it, put it low enough that it picks it up off the stack just a little bit. So then you're gonna start with more immediate like active like tension on those tissues instead of having it touch and you being able to let off. Because the natural tendency is to like, whether you're realizing it or not, is take a break. So set it up to where that doesn't happen. And one of the workarounds for that is set the leg roller low enough that when you lay down, again, it picks that stack up just a little bit so that you're already loaded from the full stretch position. Training is a wrap. I did not get to leg extensions. That's okay. Ran out of time. I did a couple extra sets on the lion leg curl, which I didn't film because like you only want to watch so many sets of lion leg curls. I did 4 working sets there. I was feeling good, which maybe, brings to another point that's worth mentioning, is that like if you get locked into a movement and it feels exceptional that day, if you have the luxury and if you train alone and you're not, too much a prisoner to time or other people, man, there's no rules. Like you may have programmed 3 working sets, but if it feels really good, there's no rules. Do 5, do 6. Like turn it into German volume training, do 10 sets of 10. Like if it feels good, man, roll with it. And that's kind of what I did there. I was like, you know what? These feel like I need them more than leg extensions. And so I'll work in leg extensions. Like even if I have a break in my day tomorrow here, if I have some little bit of time between clients, I have 15, 20 minutes, I'll warm up the knees a little bit and maybe I'll do just some straight sets of leg extension. And I'll be a little bit more fresh tonight than I would have been doing them at the end of my workout today. Maybe I can go a little bit heavier. Like I can still get the leg extensions in this week if I want, right? So anyways, food for thought there. So I'm gonna wrap, I'm gonna close up shop here, pack the food bag up and get things ready to head home so I can put kids to bed, and be a father and be a husband. But you know what? You and I are gonna chat on the way home. So I'll see you in the Prius. I drove the old Blue Dolphin today, the 2002 Prius. It's fantastic. It's old. It needs some TLC. It's simple. There's no real technology in it, and there's something about it. It just helps me be present. Alex Hormozy once said, he pulled up to a speaking engagement one time. He just pulled up kind of in like a shit box, and people are like that's your car, and like you're speaking, you're presenting. He's like, oh, don't judge me on my car. Judge me on my bank account. For me, I'm not to that spot yet. So what I would say is, don't judge me on my car. Judge me on other things. Judge me on hopefully the impact that I make on people's lives, which, if you're not doing something right, you're going to have some enemies, people that don't think you're doing great things. But, judge me on something else besides the car that I drive. But I think we get too caught up in some of the things. But find the things that keep you present. Anyways, that's a rabbit hole. Unintentional Family Guy cutaway. I'll see you in the whip. En route on our way home. See how this video does if it's too dark. Yeah, man, this little Prius, I bought this from a friend of mine. Funny story about this Prius is he drove it forever, and it's a 2002, so if you're familiar with Toyota Priuses, which most people are not, because they just prefer not to be, but it was before they changed the body style to the Prius that most people are familiar with. So it actually looks like a little Corolla. But anyways, he and I competed. He's much older than I am. He could probably be my father, to be honest. But good dude, and he and I have competed in powerlifting and bodybuilding both together. And we actually drove this little whip of his up to Missoula, which is about a 8-hour drive from here. And we rolled up to a bodybuilding show in this thing. And I remember he picked me up in it, and I was like, it's the first time I had seen it, and I was like, bro, if we hit a rabbit in this thing, we're done. But anyways, fast forward, and this last year, he was at the gym, and we were talking. He's like, I think I might sell the Prius. And I was like, really? I was like, well, let me know when you're ready to sell it. He's like, you want that thing? I was like, not really. But, who knows? So a few months passed, and he contacted me, and he's like, well, I'm getting ready to sell it. Thought I'd let you know. So, I made him a deal he couldn't resist, couldn't refuse. And now I'm the proud owner of the 2002 Prius with 250,000 miles. People ask me, why did you buy that thing? And I said, because it makes me look big. Because I look like a circus bear driving this thing. And it's a fishbowl. I need to get it tinted, but there's no tint anywhere on this thing. But I've had it for, I don't know, months. And I drive it, it's not my daily, but I drive it probably 2-3 times a week. And I've only put fuel in this thing 3 times. So the only thing that would make it cooler is if it did not have power windows and it had the good old-fashioned Armstrong windows, as I call them, and if it had a cassette player. That would just make it cooler. It does have a CD player, which is good because I still have 2 books of 1,000 CDs. Because I'm that guy. I'm a hoarder. And I was like, yeah, I better keep these compact discs in case they ever come back, you know. They won't. But if I hadn't kept them, I would not be listening to Norah Jones right now as I talk to you, would I? No, I would not. Anywho, I digress. When I drive home, this is something that I do. I have about like a 10-minute commute as I travel home, and I try to switch proverbial hats. So often when I'm traveling home, which I'm gonna try to turn this light on, it's getting kind of dark. Now that we added city limits. Oop, light doesn't always work. There it is. I wear lots of hats, right? So sometimes, most days, my days planned on 15-minute intervals. And I wear a lot of hats. It's a juggling act, right? And so one moment I'm Trainer Luke, one moment I am CEO, business owner Luke, one moment I am Salesman Luke, the next moment I am physical therapy practitioner Luke, next moment I'm friend Luke, right? Like we all do this. Some of us maybe have more irons on the fire than others, but the point is we all do this. And this is something that I've adopted, something that I've been aware of for a long time, but it's something I keep coming across in personal development and books. The mentorship group that I'm in with Rob Bailey, CCV, Rob talks about this a lot, and it's resonated with me because it's something that's been on my radar. But it's as I travel home, like right now, as I mentioned earlier, like I'm heading home because non-negotiable for me is bedtime routine. I heard a quote once that said, the only people that will remember you burning the candle at both ends are your children. And I was like, huh. My kids are young, like they don't get it, right? They don't understand the grind or entrepreneurship. You know, they just understand if dad's home or if he isn't home. And so, you know, I'm trying to keep touch points on the things that matter. And so bedtime routine is one of those. So as I travel home now, you know, not all days are sunshine and rainbows, right? So if I had a challenging day, I do my best to not try to show up at home wearing that, or wearing my CEO hat or my trainer hat, when I need to be showing up wearing my father and husband hat. So as I take this drive home, typically outside of this, because I'm talking to you folks, I will do this like little mental exercise, and a lot of times I'll even do it with box breathing. So I'm gonna get really wooey on you here, a little hippie, but it works. So box breathing, for those of you that aren't aware, is 4 seconds in. On that inhale, right? Typically go inhale through the nose, and then I will hold for 4 seconds. Then you exhale, usually through the mouth, 4 seconds, and then you hold for 4 seconds again, and that creates the 4 walls of your box on the breathing. And while I'm doing that, I'll do this little mental exercise of like, okay, because sometimes like at this point, like I'm toast, like I don't have much in the tank, right? I'm tired, but I can't afford to be tired, because the people that I'm about to go home to, these are the people that matter most to me. You may have seen behind me on some of those shots, I have that flag hanging on the wall in my hand script that says, God, family, freedom waits. Those are my non-negotiables. That's my order of operation. Those are the things that matter most to me. Those are the things that I will not put on the back burner as I pursue financial or business goals, right? So because I'm going all in on these other things too, my tank will often feel empty on this little commute home. I'm like, man, I'm tired, like long day, that day just kicked me in the dick, like whatever it is, right? So what I do is I do that box breathing, and I imagine that I have multiple fuel tanks. For those of you that are old enough to remember some of the old pickup trucks, right? They had multiple fuel tanks. They had one on right and left side. And then besides that, they had a switch that you could switch fuel tanks, right? And that's what I imagine I'm doing. As I'm doing that box breathing, I'm like, okay, my fuel tank's empty, but the tank that's empty is the CEO, the business owner, the trainer, all the other things. That's what's empty. But the husband, father one, that's not empty. So I do this mental exercise. I'm like, that one's still full, and I'm switching to that fuel tank. Or I'm switching to wear that hat so I can show up the way that I want. Because it matters. Now, do I do this at 100% accuracy? Not even close. So, but it's worth the exercise. It's worth that consideration of like, how do I want to show up, right? And Rob Rob Bailey, my mentor through CCV, he talks about this a lot. And he's like, how do you want to, like, what's my role here? How do I want to show up in this room? And I love that, man. Because I'm a big advocate for being present. And presence is all we have. This moment is all we have. Tomorrow's not promised. Yesterday's done. We need to learn from yesterday, assess it, take an inventory. We need to plan for tomorrow, right? We need to do those things. But like, right now is all we have. So paying attention to like how we show up has an extreme amount of value. And that means work, that means with friends, that means with family, that means so many things. So it's just something that I've been doing and has helped me a little bit show up at a higher percentage as the version of myself that I would like to be in that setting. So take that for what it's worth on this mindful meathead presentation on my drive home in the 2002 Prius that lights that sometimes work. Anywho, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Appreciate you guys, appreciate anyone that follows me, appreciate the likes, the shares, the subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. I don't really do this with any real like motive outside of trying to spread some good information, maybe motivate people, maybe inspire people, spread some good information that I have found valuable to me. All of it being presented in a non-dramatic fashion, and that it's everything's IMO, like in my opinion. Take with it, do what you will. Just because I find truth in these things doesn't mean it has to be scripture for you, right? But you'll find that, much like I talked about in the training world, how there's themes that I think apply to everybody. Maybe not rules as much, but there's themes. I think life is the same way. I think as we go through this life, you start to find these themes that start to stack up, and you find presented over and over again in 100 different ways by 100 different people. And that's what I find, is that in the personal development world, and for the most part, everyone is talking about the same shit. But the beautiful thing is that I may have heard that concept in one way or another 10 times, but when I hear that 11th time from somebody else, because of the way they presented, or they said it in a way that made sense to me or clicked to me, or maybe it landed different because of where I was at in my life and I was ready to hear it. So that's kind of the hope here, that people find this who need it. And there you have it. So leg day, it was a leg day, it was a Monday, and it was a good day. Because it's like I tell my daughter when I take her to school, what's today? Monday. And I go, what's Monday? She goes, best day of the week. I said, that's right. I said, what else is Monday? A good day to have a good day. Love y'all.